Before you spend time, money, and resources in conducting a thorough interview in a candidate for your team, you should ask these 5 simple but very powerful questions that will help you identify if this employee would be an asset in your organization. Today, we're going to talk about what those 5 key questions are, and I'm going to tell you they are key. The biggest hidden cost in an organization is turnover. Every time you lose an employee because you made the wrong hire, it becomes a very costly situation. We have done a lot of calculations with many of our clients as to how much it costs to lose an employee, and the averages have been anywhere between $500 to $1,500 per person. So imagine every time that you are able to hire someone that is a fit and that will stay with the organization for a year or 2 or gosh, ideally 3, you are saving $1,500 per person per year, which makes you more profitable. And this money goes directly into your pocket. So let's find out what those 5 simple but key questions are so that you can start asking them before you spend your time, money, and resources in conducting those interviews. So the very first question you should ask is, why did you apply for this job? This question will let you know whether they're simply looking for any job at this point, and whether it's yours or another company, it doesn't matter to them. If that's the case, that might indicate that if they join your organization, may not have much of a loyalty, that all they're looking for is a next paycheck. Ideally, you want them to have at least search a little bit about your organization, know something about what you do and how you do it. And if they have, well, that would be a green light. That will tell you that there might be something about your company, your business, your product, your service that interests them, that may inspire them to stay. But if they don't really care what it is, they may not, and that might be a red light for you. The next question you should ask is, what is your availability? Or maybe you can ask it as, what's your ideal schedule? Because as you're looking for employees, you will have a certain scheduling policies and specific needs that you want or need these employees to be available. And so rather than you tell them what that is, you may want to ask first, what is their availability and what is their ideal schedule? Because if it doesn't match, that could be a green light for you. It is very important to understand what are the expectations, because they might just take the job until they find another one that may match more their availability or the schedule desired. So as they answer that question, if it doesn't match what you need and you're offering, you may want to move on. However, if when they answer that question, their availability matches what you need and what your business needs are, then that might be a green light, especially if they share that with you with clarity before you tell them what the expectations are. The third question you may want to ask is, what positions are you interested in learning? And this should go beyond the one position they are applying for. So for example, if the position is for a cashier, if when you ask the question of what positions are you willing or interested in learning, if they name more than that one position, that means that the possibility for cross-training could be there. If they're interested in learning other positions, that means that they're curious, that they may have a career path in mind, or maybe they are a candidate for a career path. If they get bored by doing just the one thing and that's why they're opening to learn other things, hey, that might be a potential, leader in your organization. And so being able to ask that question is going to be very important. Now, if they tell you that they just want to do whatever it is that they applied for, well, that tells you that they're not flexible. They are not interested in growing. They're not interested in a career, which maybe that's okay for you. But if it isn't, if you are a franchisee that is in a growing mode and you need as many people as possible to want to cross-train and grow in the organization, these may be a red light. But in the other hand, they mentioned, well, I'm applying for a cashier position, but I wouldn't mind learning about how to take care of customers in the back. I wouldn't mind learning about the product or other areas. Maybe that would be something that might become a green light for you, because it means that they are desire to learn more, to expand, to be more productive, an active member of the team. So asking that question will tell you something about their long-term thoughts and the potential to leadership in your organization. Which then brings us to the fourth key question, simple but yet so important, that you want to ask everyone before you spend time interviewing them. And the question is, what are your career aspirations? Because a lot of the times people look at a job in the franchise industry as a temporary job. But if they have interest in growing, you want to be able to identify that as quickly as possible. This will give you knowledge of whether they're looking for just a temporary job or a long-term position. And maybe this way you can explore or share with them during the interview process what potential growth career path there is in your business. And this will give you an idea of what kind of person this could be for your organization. Now, if they have absolutely no interest in a career path in your business, well, that might not necessarily be a red light, because it could mean that you want them for that position, and that's okay. But again, if you are looking for leaders in your organization, and I'm going to tell you, as a multi-unit franchisee that is growing, you need to make sure that 1 out of every 2 employees you hire are potential leaders. I mean, at least, because that way you can then grow and develop them and have the leaders for the future. So important. Too many franchisees make the mistake of hiring leaders only when you think you need them. Instead, if you are growing, I would like to encourage you highly to hire people that are all potential future leaders. That is how you're going to be able to build your internal bench. So as you're growing and opening units, you will have the people ready to grow. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of time and money and in an urgent fashion looking for the leaders for the units that you open. And that is not the right way to do it. And that's why if you're a growing franchisee, I would suggest a minimum of 1 out of 2 people, regardless of what position they're going for, are hired because they have future potential leadership ability. Now, if you're not growing that much and you really just need stable, steady, reliable, consistent employees that are going to take that position and stay there for a long time, then that's a different discussion. But if you're not, if you're growing, then this is going to be a very important and key question to ask for anyone that applies for a job in your organization. And the fifth and key question to ask before you spend time in the interview process is, what is your income goal? How much money are you expecting to make or would like to make? Whatever way you want to phrase that question. It is going to be key before you share what the pay is. Because if you share first, they're going to probably match what you're offering just to get the job. But it may not necessarily be what they're looking for. But if they need the job and it's less than what they wanted, they might say yes. But then the moment they get into the job that pays them just a little more, they might just jump ship. And that is why you need to ask that question before they know what the job pays. This way, if you pay more than what they're looking for, they're going to be happy. But if you pay less than what they're looking for, you know that's going to lead direct to disappointment. And you want to avoid disappointment as much as possible. The idea is that you want to have a very positive employee-employer relationship right off the bat. And you want to ask these questions and get the answers before you spend your time, money, and resources in interviewing, because that way you'll know if they should go to the next step. So let's review what those 5 questions are. First, why do you want to join our company? This will tell you whether they have spent any time researching you and they're applying to work for your organization and not just the next job. Second one is, what is your availability? That way you know whether that will be a job match or not, and that way you know that you can offer them something that they're looking for. The next question is, what positions are you willing to learn or are interested to learn beyond the one that you're applying for? Because this will help you understand whether this is an employee that will be open for cross-training in, who knows, maybe future leadership opportunities. And the fourth question is, what are your career aspirations? This will be key for you if you're looking for leaders. You want to know that and let them know that even if they're applying for a frontline team member, the potential for growth is there in your organization. And the last but not least is, what is your income goal? That way you know that you're going to be able to meet the expectations and they're going to be happy when they join your organization. Now, once you have asked these 5 questions, that is when, based on their answers, you move on to the next step, which is the interview process. In that process, the goal is for you to understand who they really are. And to be able to learn that, you need to be able to learn a technique of interviewing that actually give you that answer. But that would be a topic for another podcast. I hope that this was helpful for you, that this gives you some tips of things to ask. Now I know that nowadays we use technology to ask these initial questions, and that is great. Put those questions in the initial application form so that they have the opportunity to think about it and answer those questions. And then that way you can review those questions before you set up the interview. I love technology and I'm all for using technology to make your job as easy as possible. And if you'd like to learn about other ways and how you can hire and retain great people in your organization, or you'd like to train your leaders on how to do that the best possible way, I would like to encourage you to learn more about our educational programs at our website, www.american AmericanFranchiseAcademy.com. We would like to be your educational source where you can have the knowledge, the tools, and the resources to be successful and to train your leaders to have the same. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next one.